let's talk about budgeting. But forget everything you think you know. We're not building some rigid, guilt-tripping plan today. Nope, we're building a budget you actually won't quit. One that's simple, sustainable, and puts you in the driver's seat of your own financial life. So let's dive in.
Does this sound familiar? You start off super motivated. You've got your spreadsheet, you're ready to go. And then a few weeks later, it just kind of fizzles out. If you're nodding along, I want you to know you're not alone. And the problem probably isn't you, it's the system you've been trying to force yourself into. And that's the cycle we're here to break, for good. The secret is a framework that's actually built for a real human life, one that bends and adapts with you, not the other way around. Our starting point is this really simple, proven guideline, the 50-30-20 rule. Basically, the idea is to aim for about 50% of your take-home pay going to your needs, 30% to your wants, and a really crucial 20% towards savings and paying down debt. Now, remember, this is a flexible guide, not a strict, unbreakable law. We're going to tackle this in 4 really clear steps. First, we'll figure out where your money is actually going. Second, we'll give that money a purpose, a why. Third, you'll pick the right tool for the job. And finally, we'll put it all together and build your own financial blueprint. See? It's that straightforward. Okay, first up, step 1. We have to know our starting point. You can't draw a map if you don't know where you are, right? This part is all about gathering the facts. And here's the most important rule: no judgment allowed. So how do we do this? It's pretty simple, actually. First, figure out your total income after taxes. Then, just pull up your bank and credit card statements from the last month or 3. The key here is not to get lost in the weeds. Just roughly group your spending. Fix things like rent, variable stuff like groceries, and those irregular costs that pop up. Again, you are just an observer at this stage. Think of yourself as a detective looking for clues. Don't change anything yet, just notice the patterns. This is where you have those aha moments like, whoa, I had no idea my daily coffee habit was adding up to that much. Now, to get this done, you've got 2 great options. You can use an app like Pocket Guard that automates the whole thing for you. It links to your accounts and does the sorting. Or, if you're like me and you like to get your hands dirty, a simple spreadsheet gives you all the control. And here is our first pro tip to make sure this habit actually lasts. If you go the manual route, just set a quick 5-minute reminder on your phone every day to log what you spent. Seriously, it takes less time than making a cup of coffee, and it stops it from becoming some huge, scary task down the road. Okay, so now that you know where your money is going, it's time for step 2, asking why. Because let's be real, a budget without a goal is just a boring list of numbers. This is the step where we connect your money to what you actually want out of life, and that's the most powerful motivation you can have. And your why can be big or small. A short-term goal might be saving up a $1,000 emergency fund. That gives you immediate peace of mind. A long-term goal could be that dream trip, or maybe a down payment on a house. Having a mix of both keeps you fired up today and building for tomorrow.
The tools can really help you visualize this. The app YNAB is famous for its philosophy of giving every single dollar a job to do, whether that job is pay rent or save for vacation. And in a spreadsheet, you can just add a simple Goals tab to watch your progress grow.
Here's another tip to make this whole thing stick. Start small. Pick one achievable goal. And when you hit it, you have to celebrate. It doesn't have to be anything big, but that little win creates this awesome positive feedback loop that gives you the momentum to go after the bigger stuff. All right, you've got your data, you found your why, and now we're on to step 3, picking your tool. The best budgeting system in the world is useless if you hate using it. So let's find the one that fits your personality. So which one is for you? Are you always on the move and you love it when things just happen automatically? An app is probably your best friend. Or do you like to have total control, to really feel and understand where every dollar is going? Then a spreadsheet is going to be your jam. When you're looking at apps, there are some fantastic choices. You Need a Budget or YNAB, Monarch Money, Pocket Guard, and EveryDollar are always at the top of the list. They each have their own little superpowers, so let's check out a couple. So YNAB, for example, is more than just a tracker. It's almost like a financial coach. Its entire system is designed to change how you think about money by making you plan for every single dollar before you spend it. It's all about being intentional. Pocket Guard, on the other hand, is a rock star if your main mission is to get a handle on all your bills and create a clear roadmap to pay off debt. It's really good at showing you exactly what you have left over after all your obligations are met. But look, don't overthink this. The best thing you can do is just try one or two for a week. See which one feels less like a chore and more like a helpful sidekick. The best tool is the one you actually use, period.
And here we are, our final step, where all the pieces click into place. In step 4, we take everything we've figured out and we build the blueprint. This is your active working budget. Let's make this super concrete. Using our 50-30-20 guideline, let's say your monthly take-home pay is $4,000. Your starting blueprint could look as simple as this: $2,000 for needs, $1,200 for wants, and $800 for savings and debt. That's your starting line.
And for our last and maybe most important tip, give yourself some grace. A budget that's too tight is a budget you'll quit. It is totally okay to give yourself a little extra in the fun categories at first so you don't burn out. You can, and you absolutely should, revisit and tweak this plan every single month. So let's completely reframe how we think about this. A budget is not a cage. It's not there to punish you. It is a tool for freedom. It's a living, breathing plan that you create, that you control, and that gives you the power to build the exact life you want. You now have the 4 steps to create a budget that lasts, a blueprint that puts you in charge. So the only real question left is, what are you going to build with it?
An entire weekend. You've got the coffee brewing, you're meticulously planning out every single dollar, you feel so motivated, and then, well, life happens. A week, maybe 2 later, that spreadsheet is gathering digital dust, the app is unopened, and you're right back where you started. It's an incredibly common problem, but the solution isn't about having more willpower. Nope, it's about taking a completely different approach. Okay, the very first and maybe the most important shift you have to make is in your mindset. We have to stop thinking of a budget as this rigid set of rules that's carved in stone. It's not. Think of it more like a living, breathing system. Seriously, it's a tool that's designed to adapt and evolve right along with you and your life, not some test that you either pass or fail.
And that is the absolute key, isn't it? The goal here isn't to hit every single number perfectly, every single month. That's impossible. The real goal is to build a consistent habit and, just as important, the resilience to get right back on track when you inevitably slip up. It is all about progress, not perfection.
So how do we build that consistency? Well, it starts small, really small. The first phase is all about building what I like to call the tracking muscle. All this means is turning the act of logging your spending into a tiny, almost effortless daily habit. The trick is to make it so simple that you barely even have to think about it. And look, we're not talking about a huge time commitment at all. All this really takes is about 10 to 15 minutes a day. That's it. That is literally less time than most of us spend scrolling through social media. This tiny daily investment is what eventually turns your budgeting into a kind of automatic pilot for your finances. Now, when it comes to the actual tools, you've got a couple of great options. Budgeting apps like YNAB or Pocket Guard, they're fantastic because they automate a ton of the work, they send you alerts, they kind of gamify it. On the other hand, a good old-fashioned spreadsheet gives you total control and you can customize it however you want. You can even link it up to a Google form on your phone for super quick entries on the go. But you know what? At the end of the day, the best tool is the one you'll actually use. And here is a fantastic pro tip to really make this habit stick. It's a little trick called habit stacking. All you do is pair the new habit, tracking your spending, with something you already do every single day without even thinking about it, like making your morning coffee. So while that coffee's brewing, you just pop open your app and categorize yesterday's spending. It's simple, it's effective, and it works. So once you've got that daily tracking habit nailed down, the next layer we're going to add is the monthly checkup. Think of this as your strategy session. This is where you zoom out from all those little daily details and you adjust your overall course to make sure your budget is still actually working for you and your goals. And this monthly review, it doesn't need to be some huge, drawn-out ordeal. Just 30 minutes. First, you analyze your variances. Don't just look and see you were over budget on groceries. You have to ask why. Was it a one-time thing, like a party? Or is inflation hitting you harder than you planned? Second, you adjust your categories. Maybe you realize you aren't even using a streaming subscription, so you cut it and boom, move that money over to savings. And finally, once you feel like you've got a stable system, you can start to scale up and add more advanced stuff, like forecasting or tracking investments. You know, this one is so important. You are going to have a month where everything just goes off the rails. A car repair, an unexpected trip, it happens to everyone. the crucial thing is to just restart without any of the guilt. Don't let one bad month totally derail your whole system. Just acknowledge it, maybe learn from it, and get right back to the plan. Remember, progress over perfection. All right, so the final phase here is all about playing the long-term game. This is where we build the resilience to handle life's bigger curveballs and avoid that dreaded burnout, making sure your budget is something that can survive for years, not just a couple of months.
So what are these common pitfalls that can totally sink a long-term budget? Well, first you've got those sneaky, irregular expenses. You know, things like annual subscription fees, holiday gifts, car registration, the stuff that only pops up once or twice a year. Then, of course, there are the major life changes, getting a new job, moving to a new city. And finally, there's simple app fatigue, where you just get plain tired of using the same tool over and over. But here's the good news. For every single one of those pitfalls, there's a really straightforward solution. For those irregular expenses, you create something called a sinking fund. It's basically just a savings category where you put a little bit of money each month. So when that $120 annual fee is due, you've already got the cash sitting right there. When a big life change happens, don't wait. Update your budget immediately. And if you're sick of your app, just switch. There is zero shame in moving to a simple spreadsheet if that's what's going to keep you in the game.
And hey, remember, you don't have to do this all alone. A final tip for staying motivated is to find your people. Joining an online community like the Personal Finance subreddit on Reddit can give you amazing accountability and support. Sharing your wins and your struggles with other people who just get it is an incredibly powerful way to stay on track.
So, after all of this, the daily tracking, the monthly check-ins, the troubleshooting, what is the real payoff here? Well, it brings us to what might be the most important mindset shift of all.
A well-maintained budget is not a financial straitjacket. It is the exact opposite. It is a tool that gives you permission to spend money on the things you truly value. It gets rid of the guilt because you know your big goals are covered, and it empowers you to make conscious, intentional decisions that lead to real financial freedom.
So I'll leave you with this one question. Forget about trying to build the perfect, flawless system overnight. That's not the goal. What is the one tiny, small step you can take today to get started? Will you download an app? Will you set up a simple spreadsheet? Or maybe just commit to tracking your spending for the rest of the day? Just start there. That's all it takes.